Today on Downtown Now, we take a look at an unforgettable storm hitting in the middle of the night.
Here's downtown Bentonville. This tornado is just to your west by about 2 miles,
causing millions of dollars in damage and an event cancellation in the middle of one of the most popular festivals of the year.
I was overwhelmed. I feel powerless. I was thinking, hopefully nobody is injured.
4 or 5 foot round trees at the base leaning or crushing property that was close by. You can't imagine what it looks like.
In this special edition of Downtown Now, we look back at the stories of resilience and the strength of our city.
Welcome to Downtown Now. Today we're going to talk about a morning that shook our community, a severe storm that impacted our homes, our schools, our downtown, even some of our favorite events.
Now, usually on this program, we focus on the people, the places, and the things that make Bentonville so unique, and this morning is no different. We're going to tell you some inspiring stories, all centered on the Memorial Day storm of 2024. Hello and welcome to a special edition of Downtown Now. I am Aaron Nolan.
I'm Dana Schlegenhaft. The Memorial Day storms caused plenty of property damage across the county, including our world-class trail system. Today from our drone, you can see the outline of trees down. Following the storm, the city of Bentonville had to close up to 25 different trails with $750,000 in repair. And as of April 2025, the good news is all trails are back open. The 4th annual Bike Fest started with sunshine and big crowds. But when an unexpected storm brought the festival to its knees, our community showed up and Bentonville helped Bike Fest bounce back even better.
Memorial Day weekend 2024 began with clear skies, big crowds, and energy in the air.
Beautiful day all of a sudden, people happy, a lot of people coming in, going through the gate. Everything went perfect. Weather was amazing on Saturday. It was our best day ever, I think, in our Bike Fest history.
The 4th annual Bike Fest was bigger and better than ever, until...
Here's downtown Bentonville. This tornado is just to your west by about 2 miles.
Warnings turned to sirens. Winds howled, rain and hail unleashed on the Bike Fest field.
I could tell that this was bad, and no tent was going to survive. Drove to the event field around 1 a.m. and we realized this is game over.
The field that buzzed with life just hours earlier was now a battlefield of twisted metal and silence.
I was overwhelmed. I feel powerless. I was thinking, hopefully nobody is injured. And then I started looking into the damage, and I've never seen something like that. Like literally everything was down. Bikes, tents, big tents. Our VIP tent was 200 feet away.
In moments of pure shock, in those seconds when hope is lost, that's where community shows up.
People were showing up with chainsaws. The whole bike community came and helped. They helped all the vendors pick up their stuff, put bikes up, loaded everything in their van, pick bikes, because they couldn't drive to the event field. So they were picking up the bikes, dragging them all the way to their cars, put them back in the trailers.
The field was cleared in days, but for Kenny, what mattered most was Bentonville's response.
I just can't keep expressing how I personally, not from a business, but how I personally appreciate the support of the community and the locals here. I've been producing events in other places in the world. The amount of engagement, energy, support that I get here to put off a bike fest like this is just something that I can't replicate anywhere else.
Once torn apart, Bike Fest returns this year to a restored field, stronger, more connected, and hopefully under sunny skies.
Kenny says he does events all over the world, but Bentonville, after this experience, is one of his favorites. We love to hear it.
And we love Kenny as well. Speaking of great stories, Tyler Overstreet graduated from Joplin High School in 2011. That was the day an EF5 tornado devastated that area. Now Tyler is the planning director here in Bentonville, Arkansas. He was gracious enough to sit down and share his story.
There's really not any place better than Bentonville right here, right now, to be working in the type of work that we do.
City of Bentonville, this is Tyler.
To understand how Tyler Overstreet got to Bentonville, we've got to go back to his final day as a high school student on May 22nd, 2011.
If that doesn't, immediately signal a response, that was the same day as the tornado that struck. I'm coming out of high school graduation, can hear the sirens going off.
Following the ceremony, in the midst of the storm warnings, Tyler met his family at a local restaurant to celebrate.
I was meeting my family for a after graduation dinner at Applebee's. My mom calls me and she's asking, "Where are you at? Hurry up. I'm gonna order your food for you if you don't get here quick enough." Me being an 18-year-old fresh graduate, I'm like, I better get there quick because I don't want my mom to order my food for me. So I'm like racing across town, and by the time I pull in the parking lot, I see some insulation blowing down the road. Didn't think a whole lot of it. That was almost the exact path that the tornado took. I drove past Walmart, past Home Depot, down Range Line Road, through that whole area that, not even 5 minutes later was devastated. In reflecting on that, realizing that, something as silly as, me not wanting my mom to order my food for me probably saved my life that day.
What happened next would not only shape Tyler's hometown, but also his future.
We make it home, power goes out, and then our neighbor comes over crying, saying a third of the city's gone.
In the days following, Tyler witnessed neighbor helping neighbor and knew his future was changing as public service was calling.
I really saw that community come together, that I developed a real love for public service.
Fast forward years later, during his senior year in college, Tyler went back to Joplin and interned with the city planner, a career path realized by a tornado's path.
I said it was that experience of witnessing the tornado firsthand and seeing the aftermath of it and the recovery that really kind of inspired me to go into what I did.
A moment in his past that Tyler Overstreet will never forget. It's fueling a passion for future planning.
I knew people who, and actually graduated same day as people who lost their lives that day. So it's hard to think about it, reflect on it, but looking back now and looking forward, I think it is something that guides my daily sort of inspiration for what I do and why I love what I do.
Again, a big thanks to Tyler and his team. That team is literally pushing Bentonville forward, and they had to do it through that storm recovery last year.
In the Bentonville School District, 20 of their 24 school buildings were affected by the storm, resulting in $650,000 in damage.
We're talking about trees down, concrete that was broken, playgrounds that were destroyed, even the school year cut short.
I would not have guessed that the damage was that bad at all. Seeing cars demolished and major, 4 or 5 foot round trees at the base leaning or crushing property that was close by. No, it looked nothing like. I can remember very vividly calling my wife and saying, you can't imagine what it looks like.
In the downtown area, R.E. Baker Elementary School decided to celebrate their students and hosted a drive-through goodbye.
We had balloons and music and all those things that we could out there to try to make a celebration. So when they would come back through the second time, it was very affirming for us that it's not what we wanted to do. We would have loved it to have been more, but it was meaningful.
This was especially sweet for those 4th grade students saying goodbye one last time to their elementary school. And a quick personal note, my oldest daughter was one of those 4th graders saying goodbye to elementary school. Thank you so much to the Bentonville School District for finding a way to make a difference even in that storm.
Coming up after the break, I sit down with Bentonville Mayor Stephanie Orman about a community that built back stronger. From riding out the storm to recovery efforts, in our downtown conversation, I sat down with Bentonville Mayor Stephanie Orman about a city rebuilding after the storm. Mayor Orman, thank you for joining us here at the very appropriately titled Heroes Coffee. We're going to talk today about 1 year ago. Everything really changed over the Memorial Day weekend in Bentonville. Tell me a little bit about your experience riding out the storms.
So a lot of times, I think people, especially in Bentonville, we're used to the storm kind of breaking up before it actually comes through. And so getting people to pay attention to that, making sure that they are notified, doing everything that we can to try to make sure we're pushing out information. And so most of that was happening for me in the basement. Just fortunately, we still had our cell phones and everything to work from. The tornado hit, and immediately we all knew that it was a very serious storm, and so we all headed to what we call our command center.
What was that 4 to 5 minutes like as it's passing through? And I just didn't know what I was going to walk out and see, and that's a terrible, terrible feeling.
It really is a terrible feeling. We had our animals and our children all huddled in our basement, and then actually in the closet in the basement trying to stuff us all into there. So I think it's just when you can hear, it's serious when you can hear the hail and different things, and the glass breaking and different things. We had roof damage and a fence knocked over. We fortunately didn't have a tree through our house like many did, right? And so we definitely heard it. We definitely knew it was different, and that it was serious. And immediately I went upstairs when we thought it was clear. I knew because I was getting messages on my phone that it was bad, and then got in my car to go into the command center, and I just remember trying to get out of my neighborhood and then getting onto Central. I mean, there were trees across Central, right? And so that's a main thoroughway through our city, and so you could just tell that it was mass damage. And immediately our teams are coming in. We're calling all of our emergency services. Dispatch, obviously, the 911 calls are going in, and they're mapping where it hit. So we knew kind of the pathway, the north of 102, and really crossed our entire city, right?
Yeah,
and
it was everywhere.
Immediately our emergency response teams respond to that, trying to map it out. It's search and rescue first, trying to make sure, and we did have some transports and different things, but fortunately, the destruction was mostly in the trees and things, and most of our people were safe. And so that's, always you try to find the shining light or the blessing in that, and that was.
I'm going to do what you shouldn't do in interviews. I'm going to make it about me for just a second. Our neighborhood sustained a pretty good amount of damage, and my daughter and I came out of our house in our PJs, long night, and we're walking up and down the street, and you were the first person that I saw. You and Chief Scanlon and Debbie Griffin were walking down our neighborhood street, and I didn't know how to react, but I was so grateful and proud that you all were there checking on homes. I mean, you were right in front of my house. I was a little embarrassed. I was in PJs. I think I was in shock. I just want to thank you for being there. That meant a lot, and I know it meant a lot to my neighborhood that you all were there. It was probably 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and you all had responded, and we're just checking on everyone. So what were those experiences like, running into people like me that were a little bit in shock of what they were seeing in the neighborhood they grew up in?
Well, I think that's our job. I often say we're the last point of contact on usually someone's worst day, right? And so that's our job, is to go out and take care of the community. And so that's what we're doing, and just to look people in the face and ask them, how can we help you? What do we do? And I think you're right. Initially, it's shock for everybody, right? And so you're trying to gather that information and try to give them information back to let them know it's going to be okay. As a community, we're going to get through this, and we're going to take care of you and give you guidance. And that's what we were trying to do that morning, was just listen to people and let them know it's going to be okay, and we're going to get through this.
House after house, that can't be easy. That takes a toll on you and your team. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, our team was amazing. I mean, they were working 24/7 in those first, definitely that first week. We immediately were able to do some things from a standpoint of just how our city is set up. So we have our own electric department, so they started calling in mutual aid from other cities that come in and help us, and started that whole process of just trying to get roads cleared. Our street department was clearing roads so that people could get in and out. If we had to get people to the hospitals and things, we could do that. Our electric team started just immediately trying to restore power to everybody. And then, you know, one of the things I tell people, our traffic signals, every single one of them were down. So it was sort of, you know, mass chaos in those first few hours. But immediately, they trained for this, and they put our systems to work, and we got our city back, you know, functioning. It's a long-term cleanup, right? Especially when you look at the amount of tree damage and things to everything across the city, from our trails, our beautiful trails, that we're still actually doing cleanup on, to, you know, the roadways, the electric, hundreds of electric poles that were down. But thankfully, we didn't have any major injuries. Just a lot of cleanup and a lot of hard work to get our community back.
What's it like, those long hours, a lot of emotions? What's it like to lead a city during something like this? I'm sure it's not something you anticipated going into this job.
It wasn't, but I will tell you, it's very inspiring. And when you have a passion for your community and seeing it, you know, in a natural disaster like that, and seeing it come together, and just seeing our team, but as well as the community, just saying, how can we help? What can we do? It was about neighbors coming together and neighbors helping neighbors. And so there's a real sense of just inspiring to see people, how they interact and how they truly do want to help each other. And so I think there's a lot of things in this. I think there's a lot of blessings in this that I was able to find and see our community shine through.
If you could say one thing to the city as the mayor a year later, what would you say?
It's really hard to put it in words. It's just true, sincere gratitude for caring about your neighbors and finding every way that's possible to help them. And I think that's what makes our community what it is.
We're still rebuilding.
We are.
And we're rapidly growing. I'm going to pivot a little bit to downtown Bentonville and a lot of the developments that have been announced there that are all kind of happening at the same time. So what's that vision for downtown, and how do all of these projects get us there?
Well, we want a connected downtown that's vibrant and growing. It's a challenge because there's so many underground utilities and different things that you have to relocate to be able to do the developments and different things, and it's a lot of hard work. But there is a vision and there is an intentional plan. And we are working together with different developments as well as the city and on our infrastructure projects and trying to move phases of projects. It is coordinated. But we do have some challenges right now because we have some road closures, some major road closures. So, but that's where we're coming in and trying to, again, talk to our community, still having events down there, still driving traffic down there, still supporting our businesses as we move through that. It's going to be phenomenal when it's done. It's a little painful with construction. So we're asking for patience, but also come talk to us. Let us talk to you. Let us talk through the plan. Nothing's perfect. You always have construction timelines and plans, and weather, we can't control that. And so, you know, there's changes that happen with it, but we're going to continue to. It's about moving our community forward, creating those gathering spaces that will drive those community connections, but also the economy. And there's a game plan and an initiative around that.
What do you want people to say about Bentonville 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
I want them to say that it was the most livable city in the U.S. and that it was a connected community that welcomed them and grew well. And so that's our hope.
Thank you so much. Heroes Coffee in honor of the heroes that responded during the storm. Thank you, Mayor Orman, for joining us. Thanks to Mayor Stephanie Orman for that conversation. Coming up next, what do you get when you combine the Bentonville Square, kids, sunshine, and ice cream. I'll tell you what, it's a whole lot of smiles. That's next.
Welcome back as we wrap up this special edition of Downtown Now. We wanted to bring some smiles to your faces, so what better way than give kids cameras and microphones and talk about Bentonville.
My name's Avon, and let's go talk to people about Bentonville. What is your favorite thing about Bentonville? I think all the bike trails, they're amazing. My favorite thing in Bentonville is the park. Definitely First Friday or Farmers Market. It's just so fun and, you know, it's a vibe. My favorite thing is the new Dayma. I like the clean parks and playing with my friends. I guess we all flip out over Bentonville. Back to you.
Thanks to all the kids for that special report, including our Downtown Now correspondent, if you will, Avon Nolan.
That would be my daughter. And before we go, we do want to say thank you to all the city employees who really worked extremely hard helping us recover from that Memorial Day storm. That is our special edition of Downtown Now. Make sure you go to YouTube and follow us on YouTube. All of our stories live there all the time.
Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next Sunday.